That's also where the Grimstroke is interesting. This is another first pick here in this tournament where nobody's been picking Grimstroke, nobody's been valuing him. It is just as good versus Pengo as he always has been. If you can somehow manage to latch onto another person, I can imagine that Marcy and Pengo both being so deep into team fights, it's almost bound to actually latch. And then suddenly you don't have a Rolling Thunder. Well, you've got half of a Rolling Thunder, most likely, depending on where he gets it in the fight. But aside from that, now you want kind of a Blink Initiator 1 position. You want your carry to be a little more aggressive.
Um,
And well, you ban out the Troll, but you didn't take it immediately, so Scourge is going to take Troll. Sure.
I am just a little bit concerned, though, because if the troll is the one who's getting focused down by that soulbind, he doesn't really get to go anywhere,
It can
so...
be sad. It can be pretty sad. Yeah,
uh,
it's one of those nightmare situations that if you're the cut, don't even want to think about. But it does give you some anxiety, I think, or it gives me some anxiety with this troll pick, because it does feel just a little bit too early, and simply Ravens go back for the Primal Beast. And I like the Primal Beast a lot, especially at the very least to counter out that Enchantress a little bit, because, hey, none of us can really kill Enchantress. It's kind of an annoying here. Oh, Primal Beast, yeah, just step on her. Yeah, there's not much you can do now if you are Pingu. But that's where I do think the troll has something to play for here. And this does give you an interesting question. I feel like at this point for me, usually you see Grimstroke and 100% you think that's Gannick's hero. Gannick loves Grimstroke. He loves his Rubik's. He loves his Katos. Grimstroke falls right in line with that. But that's also where I feel like you need the monkey to be your fourth position. And 5 Grimstroke does not feel really as fun. I don't think it works out nearly as well. But you also lose the flexibility because the main reason they go for this troll so early is because your Monkey King can now not be flexible. You can't have Monkey King carry versus troll, even though you've tried, and many people have tried that matchup before. You just die to fervor. Even if you get the Wukong's command down, you
yeah.
need a huge lead. Otherwise, you are just kind of gonna die. You just die before you get anything off. Even if you get Jingu, it just ends up being a almost unwinnable matchup, I think. So now I'm wondering, the cut, you pick up the Pango in the first phase here, not in a position where you have last pick. So you've got to make your call right now. Is this going to be Nico's hero or is this going to be Nick's hero? And in doing so, they give Ravens another nice counter pick.
See the bands, Juggernaut and PA, so I think they're starting to suspect that if this is going to end up the Grimstroke 5, you don't want that hero that just gets easy access with the Inkswell to suddenly just sort of bust up your offlaner. So trying to protect themselves against that combo. Of course, later on in the game, that same combo could be applied to the Primal Beast, and that is not going to be fun if they can time up Onslaught into Inkswell. Somebody's just going to be locked down basically forever, but in terms of the lane setup, just trying to protect themselves a little bit more. Meanwhile, if you're Ravens, well, okay, I was going to say, what else in the offlane are they really concerned with? There really isn't anything, so they do split the bans.
Yeah, and I'm intrigued by the Viper ban. As you usually see, usually ban out the Viper whenever you pick up Monkey King as your carry and you're scared about the idea of you not getting those Jingu stacks. But I feel like that's almost an empty ban. Maybe that's just them saying, we just don't want to straight up lose a lane just in case they decide to go for some super hard counter pick. And simply, they go for the
Okay.
Death Prophet. Makes sense. It does mean that now, sure, you've got DP Marcy lane, and I feel like that should be pretty good versus Grimstroke, because even if you are going in with any Inkswell target, you are going to get the siphons off. It's just a little bit too quick. But this also does lock in Nico versus the Primal Beast, and we'll have to see if that lane looks maybe a little bit better for him this time around, because again, I think he didn't necessarily get bopped, but just wasn't finding that same activity that we've seen him able to kind of accomplish before. And that's where for Ravens, well, you see the Death Prophet, you see the Marcy, you've got two different ideas that you can kind of go for here. You either get, again, another hero that's just going to go in, capitalize off of the additional stun from the Inkswell and the damage, and then kind of hope that you can stick on your targets. Or you say, okay, Grimstroke was just a response to the Pango. We go for a ranged hero instead, and then we just make our Death Prophet lane feel a little bit weaker, which is a very good option. I think that's something that they could go for too.
And they got a pretty substantial amount of time to think this over as well. So, well, if they are going to try to lean into sort of maybe the melee option with the Grimstroke ET, at this point, what are they looking at? Because There are some heroes that they could work with. I mean, even something I was gonna say something like a Chaos Knight that doesn't really get picked up much anymore could work relatively well there, but
Okay.
that's not Chaos Knight. That's Nature's Prophet. I mean, it it worked for them last time. Of course, that's ignoring extenuating circumstances and the fact that they very nearly lost the game, but technically speaking, they picked odd Nature's Prophet last game, and they did win.
Yeah, and then you do have this kind of problem of now, okay, Grimstroke, throw away. We'll do something with you in the mid game. We're not going to do anything with you in lane. But this makes your lane versus that Death Prophet feel a little bit more like a draw. So I understand why they go for it again here. And not to mention, NP versus Troll does become NP favored, as of course everybody knows, at the 20 talent, you're leashed up, you can't go anywhere. It's where you are just trapped and you need to be force staffed. And then you can kind of get started back up again. But I feel like that's where the matchup can also flip on its head. It's very close. It's where if you can get a Blink Dagger early enough on Scourge and a Basher, you can just stay on the NP 100 to 0 and you will 100 to 0 them. It's where they don't have any more team fight control coming out until that level 20 happens. So kind of a risky, kind of wishy-washy place to stand in. And I think that's where the cut should be right at home. Yet again, they get a ton of comfort heroes. Everybody should be doing just fine. We'll just have to see, I think, especially what they can do in the Benjaz lane, because the Visage just continues to own. And I think that's the one thing that really didn't get addressed at the end of the day here in the Cuts draft.
Yeah, and Benjaz, I think that's the best part about the Visage here for him. He has had games where he takes over. That's true. Games where he just balls out of control. There have also been games where he does just okay, but that's still enough because he's in the off lane. He's got lower priority and he's still able to contribute. So if you're the cut, you may have to focus a little bit harder on maybe shutting him down is the wrong phrase, but at least making sure that he isn't bullying your safe lane.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be a tough balance because the Troll just is not the same hero that we've typically seen. I think Troll is in a better spot, as many people do, than he's ever been ever. Berserker's Rage actually does something versus BKB targets. Even though, funnily enough, the build is still the same. It's still Battle Fury, BKB, Blink, Basher. You still need the Basher to actually get this hero started. It's where maybe wiser minds will kind of figure out what you want to do down the line. Maybe Maelstrom makes a resurgence and you try to make a build on Troll where you do just solely rely on the root, but who knows? But we'll have to see. And again, it is a slower carry. You do need Battle Fury. You do need to bide your time and kind of wait. And then in that same breath, you'd hope that both Nico and Little Nick can hold down the fort for the rest of the team with their really strong team fight. Just need to see them kind of team fight well together. I think in the previous game, Nick was kind of doing his own thing for a lot of that game, as well as Nico. And in doing so, we never got to see that big meetup where the Timbersaw and the Pango just kind of walk across the map and get a whole bunch of kills. But that's also where you've got Exorcism. You can actually get buildings started. You can actually get objectives without your carry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was kind of the issue, right? With the Timbersaw, not only were you not really pushing out lanes or taking towers because you kind of can't, you weren't combining forces with the rest of the lineup. So get Little Nick involved, keep him involved, and keep him, backed up with teammates would be nice as well. So see how this plays out. Smoke does dissipate before they can get all the way across for this gank, but they have made it into position. It's just up to B-God if he can find something here. Kara is the easiest target they're going to find, and this is a guaranteed kill, so much so that they can just let Scourge, handle the rest of it himself. First blood into his hands, a little bit of a D-ward on top, so solid opening move from the cut.
Yeah, yet again, they get a really nice start to the game. Hopefully they can just keep it together a little bit more here. Always unfortunate that you can't give it over to your mid laner, but your carry will also gladly take it. And then we'll just see how Scourge keeps his head above water. Because of course, versus Visage, the lane can be pretty difficult, and then you buy Raindrop, and then you get a lot of that pressure alleviated off of you. But that's also where Genic is able to snipe away the bounty rune, but there has not been any emphasis on blocking up any of these camps just yet here. And if he's not careful, he will get his sentry scouted out early, and then you've got a pretty clear picture of where those wards are placed. Fingers does have to be a little bit cautious here. Interested to see what his skill build ends up being, though.
Yeah, we saw earlier Enchantress that went for the level 1 sort of impetus, and then it did kind of cost them in the lane a little bit, right? Because you didn't have any durability, you didn't have the slow or anything of that nature, but it was only for the first few minutes, so we'll see. Does Pingu just opt for the damage here early, or a little bit more in the way of utility? The answer is he's not going to skill up anything just yet, and well, waits until he sees what he actually needs. Fair enough.
Yeah, and I'm also intrigued to see how the Monkey King actually works out in this lane. Of course, that is his job. There's simply Primal Spring whenever you can to get those range creeps and then make a Soul Assumption play happen. But that's also where purely right-click lies. They actually cannot proc too easily when it comes to getting those Soul Assumptions. It's something that I think some of the other combos Ravens have ran before are just a little bit more adept at. So I wonder if that will end up kind of costing them a little bit of the trades as this lane goes forward. But in the meantime, it's quiet. Everybody needs levels.
Yeah, nobody's going to do anything too crazy until they're up there, at least 1 or 2 levels, so as you mentioned, quiet. Meanwhile, still looking at Pingu. Still nothing skilled up. He is not going to pull the trigger until he absolutely has to, so it'll be interesting. It'll give us maybe an inclination of just how aggressive they want to try and play, but for now, nothing much happening. On the other side, Kara, well, he has a point in the Inkswell. This feels like a just-in-case kind of move, though, because, well, Dodd's not going to be that close unless he's that close by force, as B-God does make the move, and boy, more things change, ET, the more they stay the same. B-God onto Dodd for the kill. Happened like a half dozen times in Game 1. Here it is again in Game 2.
Yeah, just B-God. So quick. As soon as he hits level 2, goes for it. Knows that that is a mistake that he can very easily punish. And yeah, I think on Kara, it's just something you have to skill up. Just make your skill build look all right. But also, he can get a nice little treant block. Maybe you Inkswell the treant. I don't think you're ever going to be Inkswelling the NP in, but we'll have to see because that pressure can honestly stay. B-God can still do a very good job. It's where level 2 Marcy is still just one of the craziest things in the game.
Yeah, the ability that he has to just go in. It used to be the Dawnbreaker, right? In terms of the king of that level 2 power spike, but Marcy is the new hotness, and it's just better, honestly, than the Dawnbreaker combo, all things considered.
Maybe less damage, but
Yeah.
definitely more control.
Well, kind of makes me sad that the Dawnbreaker kind of disappeared from a lot of team strats, but hey, it is what it is. In the meantime, B-God, trying for a bit of a wraparound here. It's not like he has a ward or anything, so he's gonna grab a rune and, realistically speaking, just back away, give his teammate some solo experience, which definitely going to be appreciated for this Death Prophet. Get as close to 6 as possible as quickly as you can, as in the jungle up top, Genic and Pingu having a bit of a fight. Pingu having some help from that Pine Cone, and he might actually be able to find this kill. Yeah, Genic's got to pop the Boundless, but he realistically needs to get away, and he will do so, but it is a threat, right? The Enchantress can just sort of hit him up. The Pinecone does the extra damage. Speaking of damage, though, B-God will get a little bit punished. Finally, some revenge for Dodd. After all those deaths in the first game, he is able to take the Marcy out.
No. And I'm sure that feels good. You actually get maybe a breath of fresh air. And we'll see if that will result in Dad maybe going for a slightly different item as, well, B-God's back. So, Dodd is struggling. Nice Sprout, though.
Okay.
That was quick. That actually entirely ended up saving his life. But there's also more going on.
What is going on mid? Nico turns it around. Yengo Flow may have gone a little far. Swashbuckle is going to drop him low. 1 or 2 more right clicks for the kill. He's not fast enough.
Oh, he just got boots.
Ooh.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yengo Flow does not get punished there. Seemed for a moment like he was just going to get completely taken out. As what's going on up top? Is there another fight? Yes, there is. Genic in trouble. Turns around for the Boundless, though. Not enough to save him as Scourge finds the kill, but that sets up Benjaz. Soul Assumption into right click will turn it into a trade.
Yeah, and yet again, Benjaz's 4 dies in the lane. Benjaz gets a solo kill. Benjaz is almost level 6.
Benjaz might be
get
dead.
Hit up here. Okay.
That's not
The
part of
Acorn.
the plan. Yeah.
Find
It's taken
just
down.
too strong.
Did Dot died as well. There's that B-Gun initiation once again. That is a rough
Round
one, and now they're
two.
going to look for Kara. There's the dispose. Siphon goes off. Kara, that's an attempt with the Ink Swell, and it's actually a pretty damn good one. A B-God, I think they just overestimated their own damage, thought they could kill him off before it went off, so at the end of the day, I don't think you care. B-God dies, but that's a 2-for-1. Little Nick gets quite a bit out of it, but it's a death that technically wasn't necessary. So
And
back
now
mid. Jesus, they
the
just keep on
action.
fighting. Gango Flow. Oh, his onslaught's canceled.
Perfect.
Nicely done. Support's rotated over, but honestly, Nico was doing a pretty good job of handling that all by himself, and the cut, far more often than not, ET are getting the better of these exchanges. 3k up, 7-3 in terms of the kill count. All three of their cores out farming their counterparts, so it looks a lot like game number one. If you're the cut, though, you're hoping for a different ending compared to game one.
Yeah, and you can already see it. I think maybe it's just Nico having a little bit more of just raw experience playing versus that Primal Beast mid, but he looks way more confident in this game already. He is doing a whole lot better, and with the Enchantress rotation, this is mid tower, and there's a haste rune. Nico can just walk this one out if he needs to, but mid is 100%
Oh,
dead.
that's a problem. Got the Pulverize. There's going to be the extra Stroke of Fate damage in from Kara. It's not enough to kill Nico. Maybe they can get B-God. They don't hit him with the stun, though, as he actually just tosses Yengo Flow over his shoulder. And the cut get everyone out of that. Of course, it does mean they don't finish off that tier 1 tower, but they're going to be able to get another attempt at it unless someone... Is it in deny range? It is, okay. So, Ravens could remove it. I would get them, I believe, their glyph back at this point, too, if they care about that.
Now it's just some super nice plays. They really don't want to deny it, but I feel like there is going to be kind of a boiling point here where maybe it's just time. But 2k gold lead for the cut. They're looking good in all three lanes.
Solid start for them. Everybody's at the top of the net worth chart core-wise. No significant pressure. Really is one of the best starts I think you could ask for. Would be nicer if they could get that tier 1 tower, and Nico, he's looking at it. He wants it pretty damn badly, and he should be able to get it. And this is a bit unfortunate if you're Ravens, because that tower was in deny range the whole time, and Yengo Flow left the lane. Maybe they can get a kill out of it as the Pulverize connects onto Nico, so they do manage to punish him, and they want even more. Pingu stunned up by the Inkswell. Dodd TP's in. They get the silence. They get the Sprout. They get the kill. Yengo Flow picks up both of them, actually, so that is going to make up for the loss of their tier 1 tower, especially if they could push a tower themselves. I mean, there's 4 heroes mid and a creep wave coming up behind them. They've got Shrians, so I mean, they kind of have to get this now.
No, it's this time, and this is where you have to be careful. If you're Nico, you don't want to overload yourself, and this is the exact reaction he needs. Yeah, even though it feels a little bit expensive to immediately commit the roll, honestly, without that, could have been a much hairier situation. And actually,
Kara's going to turn around. He wants a 2-man stun. Yengo Flow's coming in with the trample. And Genic, Primal Springs in as well. That's a glitch on the Pulverize animation, but it does the job anyway. B-God's dead. And now if you're Nico, you have to run away, so... Well, you were right, really up until the last, like, couple seconds there, right, ET? It's the play he wanted, but then you get a little greedy, tries to get across the river for a kill onto the Grimstroke, who wouldn't have even really been worth that much money if you had found it. You get away, but your teammate ends up paying the price.
yeah, it's where now that this Nature's Prophet is actually in a position to play properly, you do have to be careful. You leaving your towers alone, dying, using your ultimates in unideal situations actually ends up being a cost. It's where you could lose a little bit of that lead that you've worked really hard to gain, and a lead that you want to have as much of that map as humanly possible. Scourge is doing such a fantastic job on the troll, but right now,
Oh, they missed. Oh, they missed with one stun. They'll connect with the
still got 'em.
others. Did he? Yeah, okay, he did. He had the battle trance, so Yengo Flow pops the ult just to make sure he wasn't going to be able to get that off, and well, they turn it into another tower push, so Ravens, I mean, they fell behind, but this is really the best possible response you could ask for.
Yeah, and this is a trade that I don't think the cut are too upset about. They're upset about losing Troll, but they are still ahead of the exchange. Ravens still need to make a jab at that mid tower, probably after they get another Rolling Thunder out of Nico, but In the meantime, this is just farm mode. They're smoked up right now. They want another play, but this is also before Kara can get that tome in him, so without Soulbind, it's a little bit scary to remain out this far onto the map. I think instead, we're probably just going to see them go for a little bit of a pause, farm their own side. Benjus is going to look for that Wraith Pack that he's been always getting incredibly quickly. Just a matter of whether or not he's left alone for that much time, as that's a little strange. Try to get maybe a cheeky kill onto B-God, but now they're going to get their ward pinged out. Don't know if they're going to get the D ward on the cuts side, but
Hmm. They pinged it, or they pinged the general area, I guess, so we'll see who makes their way over. Speaking of making their way over, though, Nico's doing a little scouting. He's going to spot Kara. Kara drops down a silence here, and that actually might... Nope. Doesn't buy him any time at all. Nick comes in, hits him with the Crypt Swarm, and that is the Grimstroke taken down, but at the same time up top, they're eyeballing B-God. Okay. Not really sure how much further they really could have taken that, so in their best interest to back off.
and then with bottom, trying to punish the Monkey King.
No.
Oh, and they actually got him. Very well timed from Scourge. They just need a little bit more continued damage. He could just even just ulti, but instead he's just going to kill him the slow way. There's no way Gennett can move out of here. Yeah, free kill. And they're farming 2 lanes at the same time right now. I think currently Ravens, they do have to wait for a lot of their small items to be completed, but in doing so, we're still in the laning phase effectively.
Bit of a fight for the rune there in the river, but not a whole lot gonna actually come of it, as the rune wasn't even there. Spawn bot instead, so Nico just walks down, picks it up, and now might be in position for a play on Kara. There's going to be the hit with the swashbuckle. Shield crash actually didn't hit. It's the enchant that comes in for the slow. But they're still pursuing the kill. Kara is going to get taken down. Gennett is going to stun up one. But now Nico comes in with the Rolling Thunder. I don't think they want to take this fight any longer, but Benches is already in. Yengo Flow's coming over as well. I don't really know what they can do here. Dodd, though, is going to join the fight, and maybe with his firepower something can happen. Yengo Flow missing with the onslaught, but he is going to try to push forward anyway. I think they should be able to finish off Nick, and they will do exactly that, but the amount of heroes ET that they had to just bring to that fight, really to only make that, but still a 2-for-1 trade. I guess they win it according to the fight recap, but a lot of time and a lot of bodies.
Yeah, and you get a lot of gold onto your Visage, but you didn't have Rolling Thunder. You used it before. Nico's able to walk out. I think that's absolutely fine. And during all of that, Scourge gets a 13-minute B Fury finished up, so he is really ready to farm and keep ahead in this game. It's also where you take a second to look at the Nature's Prophet, and you see that he's got a Deso in queue, something that's definitely going to allow Ravens to force that first Roche even sooner. Can only imagine that's the idea there, but we'll have to see, because rushing items like the Deso to go into Roche versus heroes like Pango can sometimes just be a massive risk and really blow up in your face.
Well, there's a decent job scouting there by Gennett. He sees Pingu. The problem is his teammates were a little far behind, and Yengo Flow actually onslaughted onto the creep wave, looking for the gold instead. So not all on the same page for that fight, but it doesn't really hurt them much either. Meanwhile, that is an Arcane rune picked up by Nico. So got Arcane, he's got Diffusal up and running. Maybe they look to start something at this point.
It kind of feels like the time is now, and in that previous game, you only got to see one Arcane rune on Pango, but one of the best heroes in the game to have that rune. It honestly feels broken at some stages just with the CD reduction on Shield Crash, but just having that overlapping damage reduction, the timer's just a little bit too long to where you become pretty much invulnerable on that hero. But smoke on smoke, this is where they would love a pick, because Ravens could safely get the Roche if the heroes are dead, but without it,
They see
you see it
Scourge.
flipping the other way.
They're
Yeah,
gonna
the
get him with the
troll.
first stun. Only one for now. There we go. Second stun comes in. Pulverize will be there. Troll doesn't have the chance to ult. He's gonna get taken down. And Kara actually got off the Soulbind here as well, so the Soul Assumption's hitting onto multiple targets. Kara does have to sacrifice his life, but they are trying to turn this fight around. Benjaz, though, is not gonna make it out, and that was a bit of an interesting one. Yengo Flow just leaves. Dodd TP's out as well, so I think at a certain point, ET, they realized they kind of committed too much to kill the Troll Warlord and weren't as ready for the rest of the fight as they thought they were.
Oh no, Nengo Flow. Is that a mana?
There's the Rolling Thunder. Bouncing. Okay, not bouncing. He's going to cancel it quickly, and that might give him an opportunity to run, but there's the Siphons. And Nick is going to finish the job anyway. So if you're the cut, you know, that actually went kind of well, right? Yeah, I mean, you lose your Troll Warlord. That's unfortunate, but find some kills. Now they need to make sure Pingu doesn't go down, but look at Nick making his way into the fight. Siphon onto Kara. Grip Swarm up in one more second. Really, no way he gets out. Nico says, I will take that kill. Thank you. So yoinks it from his teammate, but the cut are starting to sort of really kick it into high gear now. They are just moving across the map after that failed gank.
Yeah, and they are just gunning, and now they get to play on their side of the map. Still need to maybe find this cheeky award that Kara placed from before, but aside from that, now we're on kind of a timer here. We're getting our BKB on Troll Warlord. We're finishing a lot of these big items, but that's where the cut also got greedy. There's a straight-up BKB getting built up on Nengo Flow. He's going to have that before really anybody else, but that's where you really need to press and win that timing. Otherwise, you just become the guy that bought BKB first, which means it's going to start ticking down sooner. It's going to become less valuable as the game goes on. Pingu looks pretty dead.
Yeah. Not a whole lot to be done about that one, but look at Nico. He's thinking about going in. No, he's doing more than think about it. He's going to pull the trigger. Going in with Rolling Thunder, hitting onto a couple. Where's his backup? Not coming, so he's going to leave. Okay.
Ooh, and still running out. Bigod might need a friend. Has a friend.
Mango Flow's still going, though. There's the trample. Is it enough? Well, by itself, no. But Ben just comes in to help, and they will take the Marcy down. So that felt a little bit weird, right? I mean, you send Nico in while the rest of the team kind of says we don't really want to be here, and now the heroes that are alive are sort of corralled around this tier 1 tower. They don't want to give it up. They popped the glyph to keep it, but everyone had to come mid. So if Ravens want an engagement, it's sitting right there in front of them, but they're not going to jump on that.
No, instead, they walk away. They spread out across the map. Nick's in the pit right now, which is an interesting spot to be in, but he actually walked in before the ward was placed. So now it just looks, at least it looks to Ravens, like there's just an Enchantress sitting in here. Well, this would be kind of insane that Ravens just give it up and don't do any scouting because they only think an Enchantress is sitting in the pit because Ocean's almost dead.
They have scan, though. Can't believe they're not using it. This is just too sneaky. They don't even think it's happening, and now, yeah, by the time Genic finally says, hey,
wow,
maybe I should check, it's too late, and Kara gets caught on the high ground. That's illegal. You can't do that.
What a stroke of fortune, and okay, Nico might immediately lose the Aegis they just got, but he's gonna get the shield crash off. Okay, there you go.
I don't think they can really set up for another attempt, though. It might have just been the drive-by, but Yengo Flow, he's getting kind of hit up here. Genic, meanwhile, he just found a kill onto Nick. Did have a little bit of help from Dodd, so they do find that pickup at back mid. Yengo Flow dropping low. They're going to finish him off. Vengeance was able to get Bigod, I guess, but that's not really going to be worthwhile if he dies here, and he will not complete the TP, so... Well, if you're Ravens, I think you're still okay, right? That's 2 for 2 with the Aegis being burned, so... Let's really kind of call that one a win.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. The fashion they lose Nick was not the nicest. Just ended up walking into the Monkey King and the Nature's Prophet, trying to TP to mid as well, but then got his TP canceled, and then the rest is history. But Genic, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. 100-0. It's sad. I think this is the first game in a while where you don't have Lance of Pursuit on Nico. Don't get to see that added 15 damage per swashbuckle.
I want to point out for the Monkey King, though, he goes down there, but you look at his itemization, he is going for that sort of aggro utility Monkey King that we've been seeing sort of popping up here. He's looking for the straight Orchid as his first, really first major item at all. He doesn't even have boots at this point, so he's got Philosopher's Stone. He's trying to grab an Orchid. It could be a potential buff up for the cut, or excuse me, not for the cut, for Ravens if they can use that extra lockdown, but Seems a little bit strange for him to be going for it, and now he's not going to be able to get himself bought to potentially help Kara. As Nico is going to roll his way in, there's going to be the first half of the soul bind, but there's no one for it to latch onto. Now there is, and he's not moving anymore as they have to fall back. At the same time, wait, what happened here? Pingu, that's very far forward. Trying to act as a distraction, I guess, to get his teammates out, and it did kind of work. Nyengo Flow was focused entirely on that Enchantress, but now he's going to get the Pulverize in onto the Death Prophet. Here comes Genic in for some follow-up damage, but not before they lose Kara. And this fight is starting to get a little bit complicated, but Nick dropped low. Nyengo Flow able to finish him with the trample, but now Scourge is going to get involved, pushing his way into the fight, holding onto the Battle Trance and the BKB, but, well, without activating either one of those, they didn't really have anything else to go for, so they just finish off Benjaz, and that's kind of the end of it.
Yeah, and yet again, Nick goes down. He doesn't get to play Death Prophet at all, but he doesn't use Exo either, so it doesn't feel really like that much of a waste. It was just another fight that seemed too big for Dodd to actually get involved in. He didn't have his BKB either, so just maybe too large scale for something to commit into, but, well, with his out, Scourge has his BKB. He's kind of battle ready here, and they are looking for an engagement with that Nature's Prophet having a BKB of his own, but gotta be very cautious here. Rolling Thunder is up right now.
Who makes the first move, though? Both teams just about here in their entirety as they do go into Dodd. Nyengo Flow jumps onto the high ground, though. Pingu is his target, but this is kind of what happened last time. You can't tunnel vision onto the Enchantress, otherwise he could get punished, and here it comes. There's going to be the silence. No BKB for 20. Genic trying to create some space with the Boundless Strike, and it kind of works as Dodd gets a 1v1 against B-God inside of his own Sprout. The problem is that buys enough time for the rest of the cut to push in, and the Prophet dies without ever activating his BKB, and now Nico, how far does he want to go? Yeah, not all the way in. Just a kill on Kara there that you'd be risking your life for, but hey, RC for Nature's Prophet's going to work just fine. They can finish off the tier 2 tower now back down bot, and the cut continue to build the lead.
Yeah, and it doesn't feel perfect. They wanted to grab more there, and I think that's where B-God maybe just made one mistake, but that's where they are kind of satisfied with that. And then mid, Volganic, he's got the Orchid. This is enough damage. Oh, the bash.
Well,
no spells from Monkey King, and now you're dead too.
One bash changes the entire outcome of that one as Nico walks away with a double kill, and yeah, Genic does have the Orchid, but if nobody can follow it up, it's just unfortunate.
And
wait,
now
Dodd?
He's up here, and they're gonna see the Treants. Oh, wow.
That's a problem. Well, tried to hide as best as he could, but that just hunts him down, and this net worth lead is really getting up there, right? 12k in their favor, experience on a similar trajectory. About 1,500 ahead of their opponents there. 88% win probability, so the cut, they got to be feeling pretty good. Now is about the time, though. Last game started to sort of lose their focus, so they need to maintain cohesion. Don't get crazy. Low and slow to try and close things out.
Going again.
Well, B-God's in a little bit of trouble here, but if he's the only one to die, I think they're going to be okay with this, because Nico was able to step away. Nico, though, gets a little greedy. He wants the kill. He's going to get it. B-God, meanwhile, didn't actually die. He is walking away. Now Benjaz is the one in trouble. He's going to get hit by the inhibit from the Diffusal Blade. I do not think he's making it out of this one. He did Stone Form himself, so he'll buy time. But once he's back up, yeah, he's not going anywhere. He's going to get rooted in place. Scourge building up the fervor stacks. Slow into Shield Crash, nets them the kill. And I said before, B-God did not die. He actually did, but that's only because Genic tracked him all the way down to finish the job. But while that happened, did Pingu... Did he have help, or was that just a straight solo?
He did the thing where he Hurricane Bike a hero TPing away from you, and you got vision of him in a different lane. So that was all damage from Impetus. 2,304 pure damage.
Okay.
Amen.
Very, very nice, very good. But, well, if you're Ravens, you can't afford this kind of stuff. I mean, it's hilarious from our perspective, but I'm sure Nyengo Flow was not exactly laughing about it, or maybe he was. You know, it's Sometimes that kind of stuff is going to happen to you. You got Dota 2'd, but what is the response? What do they do now? How do they try to regroup? Because they're down 16k. This is starting to get very concerning for them. And it's more concerning now as Kara, Jesus, just gets deleted. And they're going to lose their Wraith Pack too. That's another 100 gold into the Enchantress's pocket. And I think this is the first game ET we've seen where Benjaz feels like he is truly lacking on this Visage. The impact just hasn't been there.
No, and it comes as well, I think, from the first game on Beastmaster where he's just kicked out of his own town, and maybe it is just having the stand-in, Genic maybe just taking and fulfilling more of that split push 4 position as opposed to what Dismar can do on his heroes like Doom, but something does feel wrong. It feels like it's yeah.
What are you looking at? Go away.
Yeah, runs away. But yeah, it just doesn't feel like Benjas is able to establish his own territory. He's not farmed. He is a big reason why I think there is so much of a gold lead on the cut. Simply, him and Nengo Flow aren't getting any net worth right now, and that could be another effect of the Nature's Prophet, just kind of putting more stress on the lineup, just having those lanes always out a little bit too far for them to farm. But at the same time, I don't know, something does just feel weird. Feels like something's broken. And, well, that was a really early Roche timer. Roche is already back up, and you know both teams should probably scout it out here. We'll see. It's, again, so early that it feels like teams don't scout it out because of how fast it is, but just a matter of time.
Someone's going to get eyes on it eventually, and yeah, looking at Yengo Flow in the middle lane, he is unbelievably broke right now. He just has zero money, and he's not even going to get the chance to pop his BKB. He's stun locked, and
Oh, and then Genic.
yep, he's caught up top. Scourge takes him down, and now would be the time if you're the cut. Somebody take a peek at that Roche pit. You've got the man advantage and the numbers advantage, and everyone on the side of Ravens is falling back.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to do much. If only they scouted it out, they would probably be taking it as we speak, but it's where instead being more focused on just keeping the lanes in. Also just seeing what their progression looks like.
Got some D wards in their opponent's jungle at least, so
And there we go.
okay. Send in the Hellbear. Now they know, and they're just going to push right in. That's sidekick onto Scourge too. Okay. This is going to go very quickly, and at this point, if you're Ravens, even if you suspect, I don't think they'd even reach it in time now.
No, I just don't think they can do it. Where Troll, funnily enough, is still one of those heroes that can just roll objectives, like towers, like Roche. Give the shard as well over to Nico. It was kind of staunchly missing from his item progression before, but doesn't have to buy. Now Nengo Flow, oh, you're going to get tossed.
Yep.
And then you're going to get rooted and doesn't even pop the BKB because he knows that's his number. Now they got to run to the wave. Genic is immediately going for the cut, but they found him. Oh, bashed him on the ranged hit. Almost.
Well, he doesn't get the cut, though, so the creep wave is now moving forward. That is going to present an opportunity to go after this tier 2 tower.
Just look at B-God. Oh, they decide not to go for it.
Genic TP's mid instead. Is this? Yeah, it's looking like a potential smoke play, but Yengo Flow's not alive, and your base is under attack, boys. Tier 3 is getting hit up. They need to fall back as best as they can. They're going to pop the glyph for now, try and create a little bit of extra time, but this is going to get hit pretty hard. Exo is going. Tier 3 might actually just go down before the Primal Beast even respawns. Okay. Tower's not dead yet. Nick can't quite finish it off here. Never mind, I lied. He's going to be able to take it just fine, and oh god, Scourge is going to push his way forward. There's going to be the Soulbind, but they did still get onto Dodd. The Nature's Prophet is taken down immediately. And this is already a disaster. They're going to lose 4. Benjaz is the only one alive. Buybacks really just don't exist right now. And they're just going to call it there. That's GG. Okay. Ravens feeling like they didn't have a way out, and the cut just sort of exercising some demons after blowing game number 1. They come back here in game 2, and they close one out nice and cleanly.
Yeah, much more comfortable in this game. And again, I think just Nico feeling right at home, right back at home. Didn't really feel that in game 1, but game 2, yeah, 14-1 and 13. That's the Pango that is starting to get more and more scary as those first phases come through, even more consistently from the cut. But yeah, super easy game, super clean game. God, they wanted a 2-0 though. Still
Yeah.
thinking about game 1, thinking about how far ahead they were, but just couldn't keep their heads above water. But game 2, yeah, Ravens seemed extremely shaken up. I don't know if I believe in this nature's prophet. I think Nengo Flow as well just started to have a less and less consistent game, and you even saw parts of that in game 1, but I think the big problem was something was up with Benjaz. Maybe it is just that Dismar isn't in the lobby today here. Maybe they just need to find him, get him back in the lobby. This was not clean. This was not easy. But with the 1-1 split, Ravens still maintain just a little bit of a lead over the cut as your number one. So I think still a very good look for the cut and still very happy with this victory. But also makes you wonder what happened last night versus Felt Boys. That was a very different team that ended up losing versus that team because really, I think this was kind of a blowout in the cut's favor.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there was some partying last night and everybody's tired or unfocused. Maybe they were all watching football on a different monitor. I don't know. But night and day difference between what we saw in that O2 versus what we had seen before that and now what we've seen after. So everybody has an off day, I suppose, and for the cut, I mean, it still kind of was an off day because that first game they should not have lost it, but at least they salvaged the 1-1 ET. They get points, they maintain that second place spot. They're still looking pretty good.
Yeah, and definitely I think still the team to look out for. Just a matter of whether or not they can keep this good look going forward. I mean, hell, Pingu was beyond godlike in the first game, you know? No. It's a fun,
Yeah.
very, very fun team to watch where I think, yeah, and for Ravens, just gotta maybe squash some demons. Where's Dismar? Where's Dismar?
Yeah. That's kind of unfortunate, right? Because we talked up Genic as the stand-in, and then honestly, he still did fantastically in game one, and then here in game two on the Monkey King really wasn't his best stuff. So kind of jinx him just a little bit. But as good as Genic is, as reliable as he may be, Dismar is just the most comfortable option. Not just in the lane with Benjaz, but he and Kara are, I think, the support duo that have the most professional games together. I don't actually know if that's true or not. I believe it was last I checked, but there's just a synergy there that Genic is not quite able to match up to.
Yeah, and that's why hopefully the next time we see this team, we see them back in the lobby. But until then, fingers crossed, Ravens, in case this is one of those extended leaves before playoffs.
Well, with that game done here, the 1-1 split does come through. So, going to, there we go, pull up the standings for you at the end of the day. It is still the same up at the top. Ravens still in first place, the cut right behind them, just the one win behind at this point. It is worth noting, though, as you can see by the numbers, the cut have played one more series than Ravens have. So while they're close, Ravens will be making up that difference, and that could increase that point total as we get through the group stage. But for now, they stay at 1-2. Of course, take a look down there at the bottom. Five-man Midas still winless after their O2 performance here against No Runes. So, you know, it's a tough slog for five-man Midas ET, but they have more opportunities. But as we said, after their series had ended, they are starting to run out of time. We're coming up on that halfway mark in the schedule.
Yeah, and I'm looking, and what is this? They've got 3 more matches, of which there are best of twos, and I think they've got some teams that they could probably take some games off of, but I don't know. It is kind of a toughie because I think their front end of the schedule is maybe a little bit more difficult than some other teams, but at the same time, I still feel like they're playing a little bit slower, playing a little bit behind the 8 ball, but that's where you can't harp on a team for too much. And we do have to say goodbye to someone. So I don't know. They're not destined for it yet, but that's where they do have to have kind of a killer performance in these next 3 series.
Someone has to get eliminated. Five-man Midas just hoping that it's not them. But they do have a little bit of ground to cover because the other two teams that were kind of close to them are two teams that got 2-0s today. No Runes and SG Esports were both able to pick up some very important points. You see them moving up just a little bit in those standings as well. So separation does become more and more important as we move along. And that does bring us to, I believe, tomorrow's matches, as we'll swing it back over. Hello again. For tomorrow, we've got, I do believe, SG Esports versus 5-Man Midas. So 5-Man will be up again, another shot at getting their first win of the event. We've got Felt Wolf Team after that, and then it'll be 5-Rat 4-Staff versus No Runes as the nightcap. So we say goodbye to maybe some of those top teams in the standings, but still a lot of ground for teams to potentially gain on each other, as we are officially halfway through the group stage now.
Yeah, especially teams I think like Five Rat and No Runes, where they don't just want to be in the tournament still. They want to look for that upper. It's that 4, 5, 6 position that always ends up being pretty tight with the tournament setup.
Yeah, especially considering, you know, everyone's looking ahead to TI, which, yeah, Jesus, it's TI. That's how it works. But for the teams in the field right now, this is the end of your season. This is the last sort of big event you're probably going to play before we start ramping up for the next DPC season. So there is always something to be said, right? To try and sort of close things out on a high note, maybe build some momentum before we get into that November, December-ish reset on the pro circuit. So quite a bit that these teams are still fighting for at this stage, and we're going to be sort of following along as they continue to fight that out, because we have quite a few more days of the group stage to go, beginning tomorrow afternoon. It is that same start time. We're starting pretty much the same time every single day, so I don't know why I keep reminding you, but in case you didn't know before, 1 p.m. Pacific time, 4 p.m. Wow, time is hard. Sorry, guys. 4 p.m. Eastern. I did not understand how that worked there, but yeah, we'll be back tomorrow afternoon with some more best of twos. Hopefully, I'll be more coherent by the time we start up the broadcast again. Et, otherwise, you're going to have to carry me again.
Okay. We'll take you out. We'll take you out back and
Uh,
finish you off.
where is our cryptic? Where is our?
Oh
But
boy.
well, yeah, we'll be back tomorrow afternoon, folks. I'm getting yanked off of the broadcast at this point, but thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your night.